Comedian Jon Stewart summed up 2023 so far as the best season of C-SPAN ever. Welcome to MOMocrats, MOMocrats, part of the DemCast family of podcasts. I'm Donna Schwartz Mills with Karoli of crooksandliars.com, and Eliza's still tired from the new year, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
So,
Oh, well, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Welcome to hell.
Great description. Perfect description.
As of this recording, the House had its 13th ballot to elect a speaker. Something that hasn't gone beyond the first ballot in 100 years until Kevin.
Mhm.
And he's closer and he thinks he has it in the bag now, which is a little bit depressing because I was looking forward to seeing the footage of him being forced to move out of the speaker's office that he moved into prematurely.
That squatter, as Matt Gates says.
I know.
Just a big squatter. Oh my goodness. If it wasn't so serious, it would be funny. I would be able to sit and laugh at
Right.
it, But honestly, what he's doing here is first of all, they've taken all the oxygen in the room for the first 4 days, right?
Yeah.
And basically being a clown car. Democrats have sat there for all of those days and been very serious and totally unified. And, they're casting their 212 votes, for Hakeem Jeffries, and there's no division. They're happy. And,
Yeah,
on
they
the
were
Republican side,
eating popcorn that first day. That was fun. They unlike
but
what
now it's
Tammy
boring.
said, they didn't have alcohol, although I bet they wish they did because they're taking the same votes over and over and over again
Right.
and
While getting nothing done.
getting
Right.
nothing
I
done.
mean,
But you've
yeah,
got bloviating Congress people lying in their nomination speeches, so there's always that.
there's always that. And they've nominated Donald Trump. They've nominated Byron Donald, who honestly I didn't know until they nominated him, and he's just another Florida man. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
Another Florida
He's
director. Um,
yeah, he's a
and
wingnutty boy, just like the rest of them.
yeah, until all of this happened, everybody thought that, it was all going to be, the reporters chasing after George Santos, which we didn't get to talk about before we broke for the holiday because that's when it just all blew
All
up.
hell broke loose. What a gift! What a gift at a slow news time of year. George Santos was just a total gift. I don't know. I
Yes,
can only tell
yes.
you, it was awesome. So yeah, I mean, this guy outdoes even the lyingest liars in the Republican Party, right? I mean,
We should give Trump
the
a run for his money.
yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, the jokes are endless. I thought, who was it? It was Jamie Raskin. Was it who tweeted that this would never happen during George Santos when he was Speaker of the House? Meanwhile, he's
Yeah,
back there giving the white power sign. I don't know if you saw that
right,
picture.
right, right. The
Yeah.
supposedly Jewish
Hmm.
Brazilian who's
Hmm.
wanted for fraud
In
in Brazil.
Brazil. And the fraud is really stupid. It's, he stole somebody's checkbook and wrote $700 of bad checks. Well, fraudulent checks because he didn't have the right to sign that checkbook. So, yeah. I mean, this guy is honestly the classic Republican. He just doesn't know how to hide it right yet. But they
Right.
are all doing this stuff. I mean, they all lie, they all cheat, they all steal. It's just that he's done it out in the open.
Yeah.
Whereas,
And yet he got elected. And
right.
yet when the local paper was asking questions, nobody picked it up.
Yeah, I know. And I can hear Rachel Maddow lecturing all of us to subscribe to our local paper because that's where we get the news. and everything. But I mean, we can't read every local paper, but the people in that, there should have been people that picked up on that, and Democrats who should have picked up on that in the district, to be honest. I mean,
Yes.
where was their opposition research on him?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
he's the gayest, probably not gay guy, right? I mean, I'm guessing he's not gay.
So
Maybe he's
the
bi,
supposed husband beard.
you know? Well, I mean, think about it. Don't you think that the fact that he was presented himself as a young millennial, hip, gay dude who had a lot of money, and we could go on with
Everything
the
else
way
has
he
been a
he
lie.
lied. Right, and
Yeah.
everything. But don't you think that, like, if you look at the Democrat that ran in that district, okay, he's like a older man. I'm sure he's a fine person. I'm sure he would have been a fine representative, but he didn't have the zing, even though the zing was all lies, right? I mean,
Right.
it just shows you, I guess, my point being that voters are pretty superficial about what
Mhm.
what they consider. They
Yeah.
don't really pay attention to policy. They don't really pay attention to anything like that, and they'll cross over for oh, I'll elect the first gay dude in this in this district. Oh, oops, maybe he's not gay.
It doesn't
Maybe he
help
doesn't
that
live in the
the
district.
news coverage we get isn't policy based, you know?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
And
It's not
I will
policy based
admit,
at all.
I have been riveted with the drama on the House floor, you know? And
Yeah, the
just
problem with it,
barely.
yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
go
but let's
ahead.
talk about the policy issues that are connected to
Yeah.
it, right? I mean,
Yeah.
basically what McCarthy's doing is he's selling the debt ceiling increase down the river.
Yeah.
He's selling Social
Yeah.
Security down the river. He's selling Medicare down the river. And sure, Senate Democrats are in charge of the Senate and they can mitigate some of that, but not all of it. There's going to be
Nope.
things that we really hate that are going to happen in the next 2 years in order to prevent a national default, because he's
Right.
doing things like saying, okay, if you want to attach conditions to the debt ceiling, then we'll attach conditions.
Right.
And
Well, he's allowing them to vacate, to run motions to vacate the office with just a tiny threshold of members.
right,
It's
and
crazy.
Democrats are going to help them with that. So it could be that Kevin McCarthy has the shortest speakership in history, because at some point he's going to have to come to Jesus, and it's going to be on the debt ceiling. That's where it's going to
Yeah.
start. It's not going to be the budget, because the budget's done for a year. But the debt ceiling, I think, comes up in May or June. I don't know
Yeah.
why, by the way. Why didn't Democrats do something about it when they had the chance? Why didn't they
They
raise
didn't
it as
want
part of
to.
the omnibus?
They didn't. I'm sure
They
they
could have
tried.
run it through reconciliation.
Yeah.
If they got the votes for the budget, they certainly could get the votes to run that through reconciliation. That's
You don't
crazy.
think Manchin and Cinema would have gummed up the works on that?
Well, I guess I would have made them come to Jesus on it too. I mean, it's either that or the default, because default is, these guys want to burn the country down.
Yeah.
They are the
Yeah.
cokeheads. These holdouts are the people that Coke has nurtured and brought forward. Ginny Thomas is sitting in the background at the Conservative Action uh, PAC, or whatever it is, over there cheering him on. I could produce
Well,
emails from
yeah.
2013 that could just as easily be sent today.
Yeah.
With
Well, she
I
signed an open letter, her and Cleta Mitchell and a bunch of others,
But they're
supporting
all
the
the
20.
groundswellers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all
So
of them. And
once
they
again,
signed it.
Manchin is being kept hostage by
Right.
an insurrectionist faction.
Yeah. Right. And I mean, even if there was 20, now there's what, 6 or something that are still holding out. I mean, this is the Republican Party writ large. It's just that
Yeah.
they did it to Democrats before. Now they're doing it inside their own party. And it's they're making us ungovernable, and that's the agenda that these
Yes.
people like Ginny Thomas want. They want it to be ungovernable. They would like to basically toss the Constitution out the window if they could.
As long as they can be in charge.
Right. So it's, I mean, yes, it's been entertaining. I'm not going to lie. It has
No,
been.
the
But it also
undercurrent
has
is
been
tragic.
terrifying.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
Absolutely. It's
and I'm
like we're
thinking to myself,
entertained, but we know what's going to come,
yeah,
and it's not gonna be fun. The next 2 years is gonna suck.
hmm, suck hard. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, here's the other thing. Like I heard CNN today just singing McCarthy's praises because he got
Oh, God.
14 of them to get on board with him. Did they not realize that he's had since November to make this happen?
That's right.
I mean, they had the primary in November, and then it was up to him to count the votes. I mean, the one thing, well, there's a lot of things that Nancy Pelosi did well, but one of the things she did really well was count votes. And
Yep.
she didn't bring anything to the floor until she knew she had the votes.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think maybe there was one time that she had to pull something off, but other than that,
Yeah. Yeah.
she had
No.
the, and this it's so when he starts singing about how he's learned to govern through these 14 or 13
Yes.
votes.
I was
It's
just going to mention that quote. It's a
I
good thing it took all week. Now I've learned how to govern.
I've been in Congress for what, 20 years, something like whatever it's been, but I learned to govern this week. I learned to govern. I mean, really?
Ah,
I guess somebody caught Dana Bash on a hot mic saying, "Oh, for Christ's sake." And who could blame her? Oh,
oh
so
dear.
I know.
It it
So,
it it yeah, leaves one speechless.
yeah, well, who's speech when they're all giving speeches, right? I mean, it's like the speeches, the one that made me gag was obviously the one where uh, Gates nominated Trump for, but the best part of that, the honest to God best part of that was seeing Trump get one vote. Matt Gates, that's it.
Yeah,
Nobody else.
well
I
well,
mean, his,
it was the Bannon plan, right? That
yeah,
we've all that, because they're so nuts. This very implausible idea of Donald Trump being elected Speaker of the House is something
mhm,
that is scary, as
yeah,
implausible as it is. And
right,
it was a relief to see the one vote for Matt Gaetz.
right. It was, although honestly, he should have never been nominated at all. But it was so
No,
Matt Gaetz voted for him once by
yeah,
name, and then the second time he nominated him,
yeah,
and it was all silly. I mean, it was just
yeah,
like, and that, but that's the thing. That's Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, those guys. They're just not serious about anything. They are there to burn things down, not to
yeah,
make things better. And
yeah.
that's
I mean, this is a Congress where Marjorie Taylor Greene is coming off as reasonable.
that's terrifying to me. I mean, she's standing behind Kevin McCarthy, like,
Yeah,
oh, look at
yeah.
me. I'm normal. I'm over here.
I
See?
only
Over
because
here.
he gave her a promise that she'll be on a committee that she wants to be on.
Well, yeah.
He's elevated, so she's
Well,
really
being on
happy.
no committees and getting to be on a committee is something
Yeah,
anyway. I mean, honestly, one of the more entertaining aspects of this for me is going to be to see what kind of revenge McCarthy decides to get on people like Matt Gaetz and Matt Rosendale and people that won't ever vote for him under any
yeah,
circumstances.
yeah,
Because if I were Kevin, I'll tell you honestly, if I were Kevin McCarthy, I would make sure that they did nothing for the next 2 years.
yeah,
But I would tie him up so that they couldn't be in front of the cameras either. I'd figure out, I'd give them filing. I'd do whatever they had to do.
yeah. Yeah, unfortunately, his majority is so small. He can't do that to too many of them.
No, he can't. But I mean, Nancy Pelosi managed with a small majority too. And I will say that Cuellar in particular was the
Yeah,
one that just drove me nuts, right? It's like he never voted with Democrats. He voted with Republicans. And then, she's worked to get him reelected. That one kind of made me crazy. I understand why. I get it that, she has an obligation to all the elected members to make
Yeah.
sure that they get, have the resources to get reelected. I get that. But, oh, I mean, there's a couple of them like that. That it was him, and then Jared Golden up in Maine was the other one that made me want to tear my hair out. But she was smart. She basically let him go on the votes where it didn't matter, and then reined him
Yeah.
in on the ones where it did.
I would not second guess Nancy Pelosi on anything.
Me either.
She's making a calculation. She understands it better than anybody, and
Yep.
she pushes through better than anybody. And it was interesting. I don't remember which congressman, one Republican congressman on CNN today actually begrudgingly complimented her on how she made it look easy, you know? Now that they're in the majority, they're seeing that it's not easy. And,
Right.
I really hope that the whole Dems and disarray trope is put to bed because the Republicans are the clown car right now.
They are the clown car, and they have been the clown car. They've been the clown car since Newt Gingrich, but the
Yeah.
press loves to say that it's Democrats that have the problem.
Yeah.
And, most of the time, we're the ones that are picking up the pieces from whatever Republicans have destroyed,
Yeah.
and tried to put them back together into some coherent form and maybe even make some progress in the process, and
Which
which
is
is one
what
of the
we're
reasons.
doing the last 2 years,
Exactly. Yeah, no,
and doesn't
exactly.
get enough attention. Um, I mean, there was
No,
even an op-ed in the Wall Street Journal today about how unnoticed that inflation is pulling back down to pre-pandemic levels.
right. And it has been for the last 6 months.
Yeah,
It's like,
yeah,
what if inflation decreased and nobody noticed? Wasn't that the title of
right.
it or
That
something like
was the
that?
headline. Yeah,
Yeah, and that's because Republicans and the press have been complicit together in just because it's a headline for the press,
mhm,
right? Inflation, 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 and for the for us, it's like, well, we're fixing it,
right.
but that's not a sexy story, I guess.
No.
I don't know.
And
I
it's
just
way
it
more
makes me
fun to look at it as something simple and blame what? The stimulus that was done 2 years ago that was like, a few
a
$100
lifeline,
a person? Right, a lifeline that was not repeating and has been gone
right?
since then. That cannot be the cause of the inflation. It's complicated.
Right. No, it wasn't that. And it was, I mean,
No.
the inflation was global inflation. It was a supply
Yes.
chain problem, and it was one that Biden did a great job of fixing fast, and
Yes.
is still
Yes.
fixing, and
Yes.
Congress helped.
Yes.
So, I mean, and that's the thing. We're talking about policy, right? And it's
Mhm.
that's what they're not talking about with regard to the shit show right now, is that the policy that is being compromised or given away or whatever you want to say is serious stuff. You shouldn't be like doing the horse race here. You should be talking about what is getting the horse trading, what's getting
Yeah.
traded away.
Yeah.
Ugh, drives me crazy. Only
So
C-SPAN should get away with the horse race because they just broadcast it. They don't comment on it. But CNN, MSNBC, all these other places, they should be talking about the policy.
and this week, C-SPAN actually had camera angles.
Boy, my
What a
husband actually
difference.
said, it made such a huge difference. He said, "Why can't they do this all the time? I mean, this is like interesting
Because the
now,
speaker doesn't
to
want them.
see." Yeah, well, as I said, as soon as Republicans get a hold of the control, which is, if they
Yeah,
get a Speaker of the House, as soon as they have control of the cameras, it'll be straight down the line
yeah,
again. Just like
yeah,
that's what they do. That's what Nancy did too. It's not just
yeah,
Republicans, but yeah.
yeah, that's what they do.
So
But it's
yeah,
it's a lot more interesting this way, you
it
know?
is.
Who
It's
knew
much
there
more
were all these
interesting.
little informal chats between AOC
Hmm.
and Paul Gosar, you know?
What were they talking about? Did we ever find out? It was something like silly, I think. Yeah, but
Yeah.
whatever. I know ghosts are one of the
Oh,
creepiest representatives in the house.
and yet
That
he
guy, I mean,
flipped
his own family doesn't even want him.
totally.
I know. Yeah, he flipped. He flipped. I heard that the one guy, Crane, I think is
Mhm.
he's a new one. He's not even sworn in yet. Promised his constituents that he would not vote for Kevin McCarthy under any circumstances. What a dumbass promise to make.
Yes.
That's just like cutting your knees off before you ever walk out the door.
Yeah.
Dude, you don't deserve to be elected when you make promises like that. You should just go to your room and think about what you've done.
Well, I'm sure he's in a safe gerrymandered district.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah. No, I'm sure it's a nice, safe district with a lot of Republicans. Probably they're all haters. So okay,
Yeah.
but dumb,
So, as
dumb.
bad as all of this is, at least we didn't lose the Senate, and at least it wasn't the red tsunami that everybody said we were going to
Right.
have, and it's just too bad that there were all these Republican leading polls that everybody paid attention to because the resources might have helped us hold on to the House.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a big article about that earlier this
I was
week.
reading
I
that in the
can't
New York
remember.
Times.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
basically, like they put resources into Patty Murray's race that didn't need to
yeah,
to go there, but because they jacked the
yeah,
polls.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, that's just rat fucking on a different level, right? That's
yeah.
all. Oh, I guess I get the first F bomb, so yay me.
First one of the year,
We went
yay!
for 22 minutes without one.
We did, we did.
Ah,
Um,
so,
let's see. Let me look at my notes about the clown car. We talked about Gates. Um, the Lauren Boebert MTG feud is pretty funny. Um,
yeah,
and it was interesting to see Boebert actually give an interview on MSNBC because most of these clowns won't appear on MSNBC.
right.
And the look on Stephanie Rule's face at every idiocy that came out of Boebert's mouth was priceless.
Yeah, I have mixed feelings about that whole interview though. I mean, it's like you're giving her a platform to basically spew out bullshit. And you can roll your eyes, you can do whatever you want, but in the end, she gets to spew out the bullshit and put it on their airwaves. And I'm
You
not sure
know,
how I feel about that.
yeah, on the one hand, you don't want to give them the platform, but on the other hand, they're all crazy. And, I still remember the journalism courses I took 50 years ago. You know, it is, I don't like being siloed. And it's not my fault that most of the news media we get has a point of view. And so I like it when a Pete Buttigieg goes on Fox and gives it to them. I want to see a Republican come and face Rachel Maddow and actually speak intelligent. I mean, Boebert, not her, But wouldn't it be nice if someone of substance would come on and
Yes.
there could actually be political discussion instead of talking points?
See, I'd be fine with that. But that's not Bobert. Bobert
No,
is
that's
not that person. She's
Boebert
just spewing
was
out
looking,
bullshit.
and she was looking at it as a way to elevate herself. She gave one of those
Right.
nominating speeches this week, which was,
Yep.
another ridiculous. I mean, everything out of her mouth is stupid. She is so stupid.
And that the problem is, and I would take it a step further. It's not that she's just like stupid. She's incurious and she's not educated. And I mean,
No,
and I don't mean that she took a GED instead of,
no,
I know a
no,
lot of people that have done GEDs and gone on to be
right.
incredibly educated people.
Right.
She's just
Right.
incurious. She's a troll. She's given permission to be a troll, and she goes out and she is a troll.
Yeah.
But she's not smart about
Raises
anything.
money. Also being she's smart about raising money.
Well,
That
I
seems to
mean,
be the
she's a troll
yeah,
who has an act red account or whatever it is, right?
yeah,
So, it's I don't know. It's back to being on MSNBC. I agree with you about being siloed, but I would rather have, if there were such a person, I would rather have a serious Republican. Come on, I mean, Pete Buttigieg goes on Fox News. He's a serious Democrat, right? I mean, he's not
yeah.
troll. He's not there to troll them. He's there
No,
to give
trying to
information.
shut
And
the record.
when Brett Baer gets in his face about his
Yes,
husband going with him to something that Melania Trump has attended, and and Michelle Obama has attended, and all these other things, it's like, you're going to get the facts whether you want to or not, Brett.
yeah,
If you have Pete on, as long as you know that, then that's fine. But
yeah.
but Boebert doesn't have
No.
that same ability or command of facts. She's just got talking points in her pocket, and they
Well,
send
I
her out with
believe it
them.
will be like Rand Paul, and we'll never see her on MSNBC again.
Yeah, I guess I would guess that's true. I mean, there's another one, Luna, who's been one of the
Yes,
holdouts.
yes.
Yeah, and
The
I read
model
that
who's
she,
a Democrat.
right, right, exactly, who suddenly is, a holdout against Kevin McCarthy and everything. And so you start to think to yourself, maybe Republicans are just performative idiots. Could that be? Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And
So,
so while this, either the 12th vote or the 13th vote was happening, you had a split screen going on, and
yeah.
President Biden was commemorating the anniversary of January 6th.
Hmm.
And, I really debated whether to start with the clown car or start with this very somber anniversary today, and decided, no, we're going to go with the entertainment value of the clown car first.
Yeah.
Um, but it's a somber anniversary. There was a before the first vote of the day, the Democrats, because it was all Democrats except for one Republican, held a, a demonstration in
Hmm.
front of the Capitol steps to commemorate what happened. And today, President Biden gave a congressional medal to some of the heroes that defended democracy
Yep.
during January 6th, and that includes the behind the scenes things, secretaries of state and the election workers who
Hmm.
were trying to uphold our democracy.
Right.
And um, it was such a contrast to see what was happening in the House, where you've got actual insurrectionists now in positions of power,
Right.
and and
It's awful. I mean, that's just one of those things that turns my stomach, is that they can, you have insurrectionists, you have a liar who's probably a felon,
yeah,
who's in Congress now,
yeah,
and who knows what's going to happen. I mean, Kevin McCarthy will probably enjoy his largest majority today,
yeah, tonight
because it,
when they
right,
when they
it
come back and he gets the votes.
exactly. And he's doing it. This is See, I was really worried that there was like that they were waiting, these insurrectionists and everything were waiting until today to
Yeah,
do something. I actually was concerned that they were stalling
that's part of the
basically.
Trump
And
conspiracy.
yeah, well, I didn't actually think of it that way. It was just like, well, wouldn't it be convenient for them to stall until January 6th and then say something like, we saved democracy, we elected, Kevin McCarthy. See, we really like democracy. We don't hate it.
Mm,
But, now they're coming back in the dead of night, right at 10 o'clock at night to do,
yeah,
and they'll probably do the deed. I mean, I'm
yeah.
expecting it to be done.
I am expecting it to be done. We
Hmm.
won't get that footage of Kevin being forced to move out. I'm
Oh,
so
darn.
disappointed.
I know.
I mean, it's so galling that he moved into the speaker's house before he had the office. It's the
I
only thing I've ever
know.
Matt Gates on.
I know. I know. Same. So, but going back to January 6th, so the I watched the Biden ceremony. I thought it was
Was
really
very,
moving.
very good.
And I was
Yeah.
so glad to see the two election workers who testified, the mother and the
Yes,
daughter were two of the
yes.
ones that were honored. And, Harry Dunn. I mean, it was a lovely ceremony, and it, it felt like
Decent
the right thing to
again,
do.
once again, the contrast between the cravenness of these Republicans in the House and our president, who was a
Hmm.
decent man,
Right.
and honoring these bipartisan, honoring Rusty
Yeah.
Bowers and Al
Right.
Schmidt as well.
Right.
It I
I
just
know.
am so sorry that we live in this stupid timeline.
I know we do. And it is a stupid timeline. It's just it's a billionaire bot timeline, which is what drives me
Right,
crazy. And what I want to always emphasize is that what is happening now is the consequence of billionaires nurturing and uplifting and and putting their pawns in place basically wherever they can. And
right.
I just ugh, it makes me sick to think about Ginny Thomas cheering on everybody that's blocking. Listen, we're going to
Yeah.
have a Republican Speaker of the House. We accept that, right? As Democrats, we know that they have the majority. We don't. There's going to be a
Our
Republican.
turn to be in the minority, and that's democracy. We're not
Exactly.
trying to return any elections here. You know,
Right. Exactly. We're just trying to
we
actually
believe in the
facilitate
rule,
one.
right?
Yeah. And and so it's frustrating to me that there's just this absolute obstruction on this thing. This is a portent of what's to come. I mean, it's just all going to be like this. I don't even want to imagine what the committees are going to be like. The only one I'm looking forward to is Jamie Raskin. He's the ranking member on the judiciary, isn't it?
I thought he was
Yeah,
oversight.
that'll
It's
oversight.
judiciary
Yeah, yeah, I
oversight.
don't know. Oversight, I think you're right. So that'll be
Yeah,
fun.
yeah. And Kevin has said that he will not let Adam Schiff or I forget who else serve on a committee payback for what happened to Marjorie Taylor Greene. And we'll have to
Oh,
see about that. We'll have to see about that.
oh,
But I just have hopes that Jack Smith will make some
same.
arrests, and we might see some congressmen leave.
That would be nice. Matt Gates,
I have high hopes. I have
Jim
high
Jordan.
hopes. Jim Jordan. Wouldn't that be great? Head of Judiciary
Yeah,
Committee. That would be
right.
fun.
It
That would
would
be a
be.
lot of. And
Yeah.
I assume you did a lot of reading of January 6th
So I was
transcripts.
just going to bring that up. I have read some of the January 6 transcripts. There's so much that got dropped at once that it's almost overwhelming.
It's
I mean,
impossible. So I
it's
figured we
like,
would discuss all of this when all three of us are together,
yeah.
and we've had
Well,
time to
because
digest
it's going to,
so much.
right. I mean, the report itself is huge, and then the transcripts have a lot of interesting nuggets in them. I mean, I really do recommend reading some of the key, like just pick 4 people that you are interested in knowing how they testified.
Right,
And
right.
so I was interested in, for example, Ali Alexander. And
Yes,
he was just as bad as I thought he was going to be. He was uh, absolutely obstructionist, wouldn't answer questions honestly. He was a little snake all the way through the
yeah,
whole thing. And,
that tracks. That
yeah,
tracks.
exactly. So, I'm reading Ginny Thomas's, but,
Because you have
it's
to.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah,
there's almost a nothing burger, but,
right.
there's other, I just say pick 4, read those, and there's going to be something in there, there's nuggets that come out that you
Yeah.
go, oh, well, isn't that interesting,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
whatever. So, but one of the things that's been driving me crazy about that is when they first started dropping the transcripts, everybody on Twitter, everybody on the cables, they were like pulling out little snippets
Yeah.
of things
Yeah.
and putting them out there, and it was like not in context to anything, and it was like, these are interesting, but they're not really, I felt like they were just distracting. Like
Hmm.
what we need is a serious analysis of what's in these
Right.
transcripts.
Instead of just getting
And
the salacious hits.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So
So we're trying to wrap this up early. This was going to be a mini podcast today. We're easing into the new year, easing in. Um, so let's see. There's the Match Schlapp revelations that came out last night.
I thought that was interesting. I'm not sure what to think about that. I mean, I
It
feel
is,
like, okay,
it's interesting,
yeah,
and you know, we'll just have to, when I tweeted that out, I had the eyes um
yeah, right,
emoji,
exactly.
something to
Uh-huh.
just keep an eye on. Um,
Yeah.
and then speaking of Twitter and billionaires, Mike Flynn got reinstated on January 6th.
That is so gross to me. It's so disgusting. And to me, it just absolutely solidifies the fact that Elon Musk is a tool of Russians. And
Yeah,
that's why he did that.
yeah,
He is as much of a troll as Bobert or any of these other ones. And honestly, up until now, I've sort of maintained 2 presences, one on Mastodon, which we need to probably go back and revisit that whole overview again, maybe next
yeah,
show.
because I'm really having a hard time gelling with
Yeah.
Mastodon. And
So
I know it's going to take effort. And, I was on
it
Twitter for 18 years or whatever. I've been on Twitter. So it's just going to take time to feel comfortable on Mastodon.
Well, Flynn going back to Twitter is the first time I've seriously considered just shutting my account down and saying goodbye.
Yeah.
I mean, that guy is evil. He's
Yeah.
evil, and but he preaches in the name of Jesus. But he's a Russian tool, and I
Yeah.
don't want anything to do with him and his ilk.
Yeah.
And if that's what
That's
Twitter is going to
another one
become, why do I want to be there?
Jack Smith needs to
Hmm?
arrest him. And the
Seriously.
other news today that was really interesting was that 3-judge panel in South Carolina striking down District 1 there as a racial gerrymander.
Yep. And
And
that's the reason that's important is because the Supreme Court has sent this back to the states. It's the same issue that there was another court that ruled the abortion law in the southern state. It might have even been South Carolina, that
yeah,
was also unconstitutional under the state constitution. And
right,
so it can't go to the Supreme Court
right, right.
because it's been ruled unconstitutional under the state constitution, which is what the Supreme Court said they should be doing, right? The
Yeah,
state court should make these decisions. Well, hello, here's a state court ruling that thing, and the
yeah,
Supreme Court now has nothing to say. So it is what it is, baby.
yeah.
Fix your
But,
gerrymanders.
but what that is a high note. And I would
Hmm.
rather end this on a high note than on the low note of Mike
Yeah,
Flynn and Elon Musk.
right.
So, so on that note, I say good start to the new year, Karoli.
Yep.
When we come back next week, hopefully there will be a Speaker of the House, and
Yes. Hopefully, that would be
and
lovely.
and it won't be crazy anymore. I don't know. I
Oh,
don't
I
know.
think it'll be crazy. I think it'll be crazy. I think so. We'll definitely have many crooks and liars to discuss.
Oh, and so good way to end it. That's our show for the week. Join us next week at momocrats.buzzsprout.com, our YouTube channel, or find us on your favorite podcast service such as iTunes, Google, and Amazon Music. And be sure to check our Facebook page for updates. This is Donna Schwartz Mills and Karoli, and we're saying goodbye for the MOMocrats. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.
MOMocrats Mama Chat is part of the DemCast family of podcasts.